Most living creatures create sound. Social animals even use sounds to communicate. Wolves howl, songbirds sing, and parrots mimic. So what makes the human voice special? Some primates produce a similar range of voice-like sounds to humans, so it isn't inherently superior vocalization. Instead, the uniqueness of the human voice lies not in anatomical ability, but in our vocal dexterity. The voice broken down. Part 1. 3 voice subsystems. The 3 steps to creating sound within the human body are air, vibration, and resonance. Therefore, 3 subsystems exist to execute these functions. First, the air pressure system, which consists of the diaphragm, chest muscles, ribs, abdominal muscles, and lungs. These create a buildup of air pressure that interacts with the next system, the vibratory system, which includes the voice box or larynx and the vocal folds, otherwise known as the vocal cords. The vibratory system is powered by the air expelled from the lungs, and it serves to create sound waves out of thin, or rather pressurized, air. Finally, the resonating system, which is also known as the vocal tract, includes the throat or pharynx, the oral cavity, and the nasal cavities. Essentially, the vocal tract filters the sound created in the voice box by creating different spaces for those sounds to resonate and take on various qualities. Part 2. The vocal folds. The vocal folds, also commonly known as the vocal cords, are located at the base of the larynx. While cord does bring to mind the vibratory nature of the vocal folds, the organs themselves look like 2 folds of skin. Often the larynx is referred to as the voice box, as it encapsulates the means of producing sound. The vocal folds attach at the front to the thyroid cartilage, or the Adam's apple, and at the back to the arytenoid cartilages. These points move to separate the folds for breathing. When they are not pulled apart, the vocal folds meet at a center point called the glottis. The key function of the voice box is to open and close the glottis, whether for breathing, voicing, or the halting of either. The vocal folds are about 17 to 23 millimeters long in adult males and 12.5 to 17 millimeters long in adult females. They may also be stretched several millimeters by the muscles of the larynx. After all, their defining feature is their elasticity. The frequency most often produced by the vocal folds in a speaking voice is at about 125 Hz for men, 210 Hz for women, and 300 Hz for children. These frequencies of sound are produced when the vocal folds oscillate, or periodically stop the airstream. This creates a periodic train of air pulses when a phrase is uttered. Part 3. Phonation. Phonation is the process of converting air pressure from the lungs to audible vibrations or sound waves. It involves the vocal folds as well as the muscles of the larynx. As you recall, vocal folds are the elastic folds of skin within the larynx. When air passes through them, they vibrate, like a reed. This is called voicing, for obvious reasons. The sound produced is your voice in its simplest form. The vocal folds themselves give the singer broad, general control over the pitch of the sound produced. Like a reed or a vibrating string, the pitch produced depends on the length, mass, and tension of the vocal cords. The muscles in the larynx change the elasticity and tension of the vocal folds to create these contrasts. Part 4. Vocal fold excitation. Vocal fold excitation is a major part of phonation. This is the physical use of the vocal folds to create sounds, or the vibratory cycle of the vocal folds. Excitation occurs as a wave motion in the vocal folds as air passes through them. This motion is called the Bernoulli effect. First, the voice box brings the folds to their midline, the glottis, to allow for vibration. Anyone who has ever played a brass instrument will understand how sound is produced from buzzing through pursed lips. The same concept applies. As air pushes through the closed cords, it opens them from the bottom up, such that as the top is pushed open, the bottom is in the process of closing like a wave. The closing phase is controlled by the Bernoulli effect, creating waves of vibration and resonance, which in turn produces a single sound at the frequency of the opening with each breath. To vary these sounds, the voice box adjusts the tension of the vocal folds to produce different pitches and volumes. These basic resonances are changed by articulants, such as the lips, which form vowel and consonant shapes, as well as the overall shape of the mouth and larynx. Singing. There are 3 features of singing that distinguish it from everyday language: pitch, volume, and tone. More accurately, it is the intentional alteration of these 3 properties that make sounds singing sounds. Humans have a broader array of techniques and capabilities than any other animal because we intentionally developed this array for thousands of years, all for the sake of artistry. So, what is the intentional human voice capable of? Direct Action Part 1. Expressing and expanding range. The human voice has both high and low registers. No matter the vocal range of an individual, they are able to express a chest voice and a head voice, as well as a falsetto, usually produced by males. Expression of the higher register involves making one's voice lighter, and it is called the head voice. The resonance produced from the voice box is directed to the mask area, which is the upper pharynx or throat, nasal cavity, teeth, and lips. For the lower register, a powerful sound supports the lower frequencies better. This is known as the chest voice, and it directs resonance to the oral cavity, the middle pharynx, and the soft palate. Finally, an additional technique is used to hit especially high notes in the upper male register, and even allows them to hit notes within the female register. This is called falsetto. Combined with the direction of resonance to the mask, it involves shaping of the vocal cords. They expand and separate, no longer meeting at the glottis, which allows the edges to vibrate rather than the entire fold. This creates a unique and distinct sound. Part 2. Quality and sound. Tone is a major part of the voice that can be intentionally changed. In changing tone, someone can completely shift the sound and effect of their singing. Tone can be altered by directing resonance to different parts of the vocal system. A fuller tone can be achieved by increasing the space for resonance, activating the soft palate and broadening the back of the oral cavity. Decreasing that space leads to a thinner tone with fewer overtones, a simpler sound. Both of these tones can be applied to a full range of notes, and aren't the same as chest voice or head voice. The quality of one's voice can also be changed. For example, a dark or bright quality to the voice. Once again, this is up to the discretion of the singer and is purely an artistic choice. Vowel sounds take on these qualities. Dark vowels come from lips in a long horizontal shape, and bright vowels come from a higher vertical shape. Another vocal quality is the use of overtones. The human vocal system is capable of producing more than one sound at a time. Overtone singing involves droning a note, then using the tongue to create a shape at the back of the throat that projects more than one resonance. The vocal tract is then altered to create vowel shapes so that the higher harmonic tones vary when the drone note stays constant. There are countless more techniques that we have developed over time, but this is a good selection to start with. Enjoy researching more!